Guys, I am so excited about tonight's show. I'm telling you, we've tried 3 times, and every time that we failed was because of the hurricane that was hitting us here. The other one, we couldn't hear his voice correctly. The other time, we had some problems with the internet. And right now, right before we came on, we were having some minor problems. So we started cursing at the devil, saying, "Man, devil, you're not gonna take over today's show like you have these past 3 ones." I'm just messing around. But you know what? We finally got the man, the myth, and the legend with us. I'm excited. And let me tell you guys, I, we've all been in law enforcement for over 30 plus years. We've all three have attended numerous classes throughout our careers. When last year in Campbell, California, Benny and I attended his class, the class, Robert Almonte. No, Benny, you're going to talk about it for the first time. And I'm telling you, in my 32 plus years in law enforcement, I've been to hundreds of classes. I have never been to a class like his. It was one of the best classes I have ever attended. And guys, tonight we are honored to have him on the show. With that said, Benny, it's all yours. Give us the intro, brother. It's all yours.
Hey, what do you think about that video, man?
Oh, that was good.
Okay. You know what? I still don't know. You said the song was Silence of the Lambs. I don't remember that part.
Yeah,
but it was
Goodbye Horses from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm a freaky. The scene was real freaky. It was a good scene, man. I know that those that saw the movie remember that song.
Yeah, I saw it. I just didn't remember the song. But yeah, good movie.
Yeah. So today we got Robert Almonte. Robert has an extensive law enforcement career. He was appointed the United States Marshal for the Western District of Texas in 2010, serving 6 years there. Robert was one of 94 U.S. Marshals in the nation, one for each federal judicial district. Under his leadership, the Western District of Texas was one of the top districts in the United States Marshal Service for arresting dangerous felons, bad guys. Before he went to the Marshal Service, Robert was an El Paso police officer. His rank was a deputy chief with the El Paso Police Department. I mean, what a great career, man. Robert is an expert on Mexican cartels and the occult. Robert has appeared in a number of news outlets: Good Morning America, Fox and Friends, NBC News, the New York Post, the Washington Post, the international news outlets regarding Mexican cartels and the occult. He's all over the place, man. Robert is very well sought after by law enforcement trainers throughout the country. Robert is always in high demand. That's why he's always out and about. This guy, every time we talk to him, he's in some city or some other country doing seminars, doing the conferences. Robert never disappoints, man. He's just an awesome presenter, dynamic presenter, man. Welcome to the show, Robert.
Thank you very much for having me, Benny. That's an outstanding introduction. I really appreciate it.
So, what did you think about the song?
I liked it. I liked it. I was kind of bebopping listening to that song before I came on.
The image of the guy dancing in front of the camera on Silence of the Lamb didn't come.
Yeah, I liked it. I really did like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Robert, can you tell us about your career with the El Paso Police Department? What were one of your so many duties?
Well, I start off with the El Paso Police Department, and of course, started like with any other police department. You start off on patrol, so you patrol and work patrol South El Paso. And I got to tell you, I really believe that I grew up when I became a police officer. I grew up in the El Paso Police Department. I was a young kid, 21 years old, wet behind the ears, and then I start working as a police officer, working the streets, and you start seeing reality. You guys know what I'm talking about. You've been there, and it's like, man, this is a different world altogether. And whether you want to or not, you're going to grow up fast, man. So it was a fun time. And then I spent some years as a detective working narcotics there in El Paso, and that was a lot of fun as well. And back then, when I was working narcotics, the El Paso right across the border from Juarez, Mexico. And at that time, the Juarez cartel, which is still in existence, was being led by Amado Carrillo Fuentes, known as the Lord of the Sky. So it was fun taking down some of the dope that belonged to him and doing some undercover buys and taking some of his dope off the street. So it was a lot of fun, and then made sergeant, lieutenant, and I was very fortunate in that I was able to go back to narcotics as a sergeant, go back to narcotics as a lieutenant. I was a narcotics commander for about 7 years, and promoted to captain, where I oversaw the gang unit, narcotics, and some homicide, some other unit. And then the final 3 years of my career, deputy chief, overseeing the major crimes bureau, and I was basically in charge of all the investigators, all the detectives. So it was a fun career. And I got to tell you, I did 25 years there. But if you were to tell me, Robert, you're wrong, you only did 10 years, I probably wouldn't argue with you, because it went by so quickly. So those were the best times of my life. I really had a great time. And I got to tell you that I had a great time with the Marshal Service too, and that was truly an honor to be appointed by the President of the United States for that position. And I didn't see that coming. They reached out to me, and I got to thank Congressman Sylvester Reyes, a former congressman out of El Paso, who actually recommended me for that position. But I have to tell you, everything that I'm doing right now, my time with the El Paso Police Department, is actually what gave me the background to do what I'm doing today, and that's speaking about the Mexican cartels and everything they're involved in to these law enforcement officers everywhere I go. So it's been a great ride, but I don't think the ride's over yet, because I'm still doing some stuff, and I like training police officers. I get to hang out with great people, great cops, and I got to be honest with you, sometimes it makes me feel a little bit younger too, hanging out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Big Sean.
Okay, whoever. Hey, great to see you again. Hopefully, third time's the charm.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's try it, man.
Hey, so when you went from the El Paso Police Department and you went to the United States Marshals for Western District of Texas in 2010, what moved you to the federal side, and what was it like going from a major metropolitan police department to United States Marshal Service?
Well, you know what? There is a difference. I don't care what anybody says. Going from a local police department, El Paso Police Department, and then becoming a United States Marshal for the Western District of Texas. My district was massive. It went from main office in San Antonio all the way to El Paso, down to Del Rio, Midland, Odessa, Austin, and all the way up to Waco, which is near Dallas. So that was just a massive district. So I had to become familiar with the policies and procedures, and then also in dealing with personnel, the different animal. I remember with the El Paso Police Department, you get things done and you move on, or somebody needed to be disciplined, you discipline them and you move on. And dealing with civil service members, it's a different animal. So that was the experience that I wasn't used to. But all in all, it was a great experience. Most of the people I worked with there in the United States Marshal Service were really, really good people. And I still have some friends there, and I'm proud of that.
You know, Robert, you definitely grow up fast when you first become a cop. Going from the streets, just a kid, and then becoming a cop, and shit happens fast in real time, man. I know what you mean, man. You grow up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Robert,
whether you're ready or not.
So,
Go ahead,
Robert,
Benny.
you are an internationally renowned occult and Mexican cartel expert. What made you get involved and get the expertise in the Mexican cartels and the gangs and the occult?
Well, that as I mentioned a while ago, my time with the El Paso Police Department, especially my time working narcotics with the El Paso Police Department, and I remember executing search warrants at people's homes, and we go into the home, and very often we would encounter some type of an altar or shrine with the candles flickering and all different statues and things of that nature. So for some reason, I don't know what it was, but for some reason I was drawn to that, and I'd go up there and look at things. But then I immediately, not too many cases later, I found out that, every cop needs to go up and look at this stuff. And I'll tell you why, because we were executing a search warrant, and they had prayer candles. And at that time, we didn't have Santa Muerte. And then my brother was just barely coming onto the scene. So what I encountered back then were candles and prayer candles and statues for Jesus Christ, the Virgin Mary, and other Catholic saints. Well, I remember looking behind the statue of Jesus Christ, and I find a sandwich baggie containing several balloons full of heroin. And then I remember asking the lady, you know, hey, how come? Because I was a little, to be honest with you, pissed that she would have the heroin behind Jesus Christ. So I asked her, why do you have the heroin behind Jesus Christ? And she said, well, he's supposed to protect me from you. And then, you know, smart ass young cop said, well, you know, that shit didn't work. And then what really struck me was her response. Her response was, yeah, I guess I need to pray harder. So that told me, man, this belief is embedded in their heart, their souls, and their mind, and it's unconditional. So right off the bat, I thought, you know what, guys, we need to start looking at all these altars and shrines and start looking to see if they have the drugs hidden there. And sure enough, that really got my attention, piqued my interest. So this was way back in the 80s, and then kind of like opened a can of worms and started researching it. And when I would research one, I'd find another one. And then I get what I do right now is I do so much training that I get a lot of cases and pictures from officers around the country where they encounter these things. And they say, oh, I got Santa Muerte here. Oh, that's great. And I start looking at the picture and I see all the other ones that they have that I talk about. And once in a while, a new one will pop up. So I'm tracking this. Just like the big one right now is Chucky. That's right, Chucky the doll. I mean, he's big, so you can't make this shit up. I mean, I never thought I'd be training cops to keep an eye out for Chucky.
Hey, Robert, why do you think cartels and gang members prey to many of these, for lack of a better term, icons?
You know, but the bottom line, the criminal gangs, Mexican cartel, they're praying for protection from law enforcement. That's the bottom line. They really believe, and they don't see anything wrong in that. For example, St. Jude is a legitimate Catholic saint. St. Jude was one of the original 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. And St. Jude's full name is St. Jude Taddeus. In Spanish, it's San Judas Tadeo. But typically what you see is they drop the last name. Instead of St. Jude Taddeus, it's St. Jude. Instead of San Judas Tadeo, it's San Judas. But anyway, St. Jude is known as the patron saint of lost causes or difficult situations. So I'm a Catholic, and I know that what he's used for. So if a loved one, if I have a loved one in the hospital and the doctor tells me, hey, I'm sorry, there's no hope, they're going to die. Well, I pray to Jesus, and that's a misconception. A misconception a lot of people have that are not Catholic. They think that, you know, we worship the saints, and we don't. We honor the saints. With Catholics, just like any other Christian, Jesus Christ is number one. So I pray to Jesus, but then being a Catholic and knowing about the saints and knowing that St. Jude is the patron saint of lost causes, I'm going to reach out to St. Jude, asking St. Jude to pray for my situation. When we're talking about Mexican cartels and gangs that are traveling the highways and byways with a vehicle loaded with meth or fentanyl, they perceive those situations to be a lost cause or at least a very difficult situation. So they're calling upon St. Jude to protect them. And they don't see anything wrong with that. And basically what we have is the perversion of the Catholic saints.
Now, Robert, I understand that you have participated in many of these rituals, the so-called limpias, you know. Robert, what is the ritual with the rooster sacrifices, and what is all involved in a spiritual cleansing?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yes.
Robert, hang on a second.
Before you answer it, I want to go ahead and just show the video, and then if you don't mind answering it. Are we ready?
That's right. You told me that 30 seconds ago, and I forgot.
It's okay. Here we go, brother. Here we go. Here's that.
Oh my God, he's so loud. Okay, Robert, you'll have to go there. So where's the country with it? I'll hold it for you. Okay.
Right here?
Yes. Just stand there.
Osama iwa afuru chali fafunta wa bawa uru dia funguru mila oni warawane gun sara yenge wa unu trono sara yenge wa unu ulo sara ulo sara yenge nyaga sara yenge o sara yenge egu sara yenge fa ulo sara Ya, ponte para acá. No, córrete para acá. Ay,
Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, what the video you just showed is a limpia, and actually it's a limpia from the Santeria religion. And first of all, before I get into the description of the limpia, Santeria is a legitimate religion that a lot of people don't believe that or know that. And the United States Supreme Court, in a ruling, they heard in 1992, decided 1993 that Santeria is a legitimate religion. Now, sacrificing animals is part of the Santeria religion. Supreme Court said that's okay. Santeria religion is an African-based religion that originated in Nigeria. And basically, the the owners of the slave were trying to convert them to Christianity, Catholicism. So what the slave did, they already had their own African religion. They embedded their own religion into these different Catholic saints, fooling the owners into believing that they had in fact converted to Christianity, Catholicism. So that's Santeria in a nutshell. I thought it was important to lay the foundation on Santeria. Now, as far as this ritual, I they just didn't give me a limpia for the sake of giving me a limpia to record it. There was actually another video where I underwent a reading. The guy doing the limpia on me in that video is actually a babalao, that's a high-ranking priest in the Santeria religion. So he did a reading to see if I needed a limpia. And he did a reading to the Orisha known as Orula. Orula is the master diviner. And sure enough, the Santeria priest told me that, yeah, I do have witchcraft. Somebody sent me witchcraft. They don't want to see me prosper. They don't want to see me being successful. Okay, so then they did the limpia. So the purpose of the limpia was to get rid of the witchcraft that was inside of me. And how he did that is that, well, he spit rum on me, and I've had several limpias done on me. I've had a lot of rum spit on me. And anyway, he spit rum on me. Then he gets the rooster. And what he's going to do, or what he's doing, is he's rubbing the rooster on me, and he's removing the witchcraft from me, going into the rooster. And I don't know if you remember or you noticed that he also rubs himself in case any of the witchcraft came off of me onto him. So the witchcraft comes from me, out of me, into the rooster. Now what he's going to do is sacrifice the rooster to the Orisha on the ground, a little black stone there known as Elegua. And Elegua is probably the most popular Orisha in the Santeria religion. Before I forget to say this, as far as the Mexican cartels and gangs that are using Santeria, and they are seeing a big increase in them using Santeria, they like Elegua because Elegua is the Orisha that opens the roads. And they see that as opening the roads for their criminal activity. So then he gets the rooster, and what you're hearing them, none of us understood that language because that's the African language of Yoruba. And then he's slowly cutting the jugular of the rooster. They just don't cut the head off. Slowly cutting the jugular, let it bleed onto Elegua. And then that blood contains all the witchcraft that was inside of me. Then he pours water over it to get rid of the witchcraft, and then spit more rum on the Elegua there, and the ritual, the limpia, the cleansing is complete.
Hey, Robert, do these people, do they know that they're being recorded, or do you have a secret camera on you?
No, and actually, to be honest with you, these people here, they're really good people, and actually, I still learn from them about Santeria because I didn't know what Santeria was, and that's, I figured the best way to learn is to hang out with people that do it, and they know who I am, they know what I do, and actually, they see a need for the training for officers to be trained. They know actually that I'm showing that video because a lot of officers do not understand or don't realize that, number one, Santeria is a legitimate religion. Number two, sacrificing animals is acceptable. So officers go into a home, see a sacrifice in progress, and they arrest everybody for animal cruelty. So that's why I talk about the Santeria religion during my training. So this particular case, no, these people are helping me help police officers, train police officers.
That's interesting. Go ahead, Benny, with your next question, and we're going to put a video after your question, Benny.
So, Robert, can you talk to us about the cleansing or limpia performed on you in Catemaco, Mexico?
Here
Yeah,
we go. Here's the video.
I'm sorry.
En nombre del Ser Supremo y el Admirable. Mira, tu energía se siente muy bloqueada. Sí. Parte del bloqueo que traes, de repente te puedes sentir como desesperado, sí. Problemas para dormir, sí. Y también en su momento también te puedes sentir como con mucho decaimiento, como si de repente se te bajara la pila, decimos nosotros, como si. Y eso es de que estás muy bloqueado, tus caminos están muy cerrados, mucha energía negativa en tu entorno, y eso mismo te está bloqueando, aparte de que si te han buscado cerrar tus caminos, pero ya. En esta parte de aquí, ha de sentir como si te hubieran dado un garrotazo, una pesadilla. Vas a cerrar tus ojos, vas a pensar en todo lo positivo que es esta vida. Eso.
Hey, Robert, on that one, were you standing on a hexagram?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So this guy was actually praying to the devil, correct?
Yeah, you know, and the reason I went to Catemaco, you know, I pride myself in doing a lot of research and doing firsthand research. But anyway, I did some research on the brujos, the witches, and found out that a lot of people believe that Catemaco is the birthplace of the witches. Excuse me, and supposedly pre-colonial time, people believe that the waters in the area, and it's a beautiful area, the waters in the area contain magical powers that allow people to become witches, brujos. So I said, well, let's go check it out. So I went out there and found this brujo. He's a witch, he's a brujo, and he uses the devil for his cleansing. I know that sounds weird, but that's what he does. So I have to be honest with you, almost changed my mind when I got there and he asked me to stand there on that image. I felt uncomfortable, and the reason I didn't was because it was about a 6 hour drive, and I'm not going to drive 6 hours for nothing. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I stood there. He said no recordings, but in this case here, I told him that my driver, who I know, I use him all the time. I go to Mexico City and the surrounding area. He was playing the role of my nephew. I'm his uncle. And basically, I said, my wife's kicking me out unless I get a limp. And she says, I'm screwing around too much, doing all this kind of stuff. And then I asked if we could record it. And he said, oh, no, I don't allow them to be recorded. And then my driver did a great job. He said, you know, my aunt said that I had to bring back proof that he got it or she's throwing him out. And he thought about it and said, okay, go ahead. So he let us do it. So I had a really good driver. Yeah. So I got to tell you though, when I've gone to a lot of dark places in doing my research, and this was one of them. And when I'm standing there, I was very uncomfortable. I mean, I could feel, for lack of a better word, I guess, darkness. It just didn't feel right, if you know what I'm saying. It just did not feel right. I wanted to get away from there. But what I did right away, silently in my head, I prayed the Our Father, the Lord's Prayer, did a Hail Mary, and I asked Saint Michael to come and stand by me during this time. So that helped make me feel better. And this guy also said I did have brujeria, I had witchcraft in me. And then when we were finished, he gave me two choices. I don't know if you saw toward the end, he also had a lot of Santa Muerte items there. He's really into Santa Muerte. He gave me two choices. He said you can write your name down, your address and your phone number, and put it in front of Santa Muerte, or you can get this little amulet that has the same image on there, the devil's pentagram. And well, of course, I showed the little amulet. Instead, I wasn't going to leave it. And of course, if I was going to leave anything, there wouldn't have been the real information. But I just didn't feel comfortable doing that at all. And then I have to tell you that right after leaving there, I told my driver to let's find a Catholic church. Went straight to the Catholic church, went in there, got holy water, prayed. And I mean, that's what I do when I go to these places. Before I go to Mexico or, for example, Colombia, I was in Colombia just a couple of months ago. I'll have a blessing from a priest and then come back and get another blessing. But this was an unusual experience, but I had to do it.
Hey, Robert, before Benny's next question, is there levels to this? Like, let's say Carrillo Fuentes, let's say Benjamin Arellano, Chapo Guzman. They're all, if they are involved in this, the occult, is there levels? Do they not just go to the local Santeria priest, or do they go like to this guy having to fly or drive 6 hours because he's like the guru of this Santeria? Is there levels to this?
No, you can find this guy pretty high level. Yeah, no doubt. He's high level. But in any city, really, you can find a I hate to say, but a pretty good curandero or santero that'll do this. And typically, it's by word of mouth. The reputation spreads. Hey, this guy's really good. I went. He took care of me. I don't have any problems anymore. That's how a lot of them get their jobs, I guess, or get hired. So. They don't have to drive for hours to find a curandero. They have there by word of mouth.
Excellent. Benny, go ahead. And after you ask the question, Benny, we have one last video.
Okay. You know, Robert, you hear about the curanderos, and right away you get the image from Hollywood, dressed in black, paint in the face, dark rooms, you know, weird music in the background. And this guy's just wearing shorts. I mean, he looked just like a regular Joe. Not
Yeah.
only that, I mean, what was he telling you? What was he saying? So, what were some of those words?
You know, a lot of it. Let me tell you, it's coming back to me now. But you know what he's doing at first is like doing a reading, and I don't know if you noticed, but a few seconds into it, he kind of gave like a little jolt with his body like that, and he said at that time that's when he felt the witchcraft that I had. A witchcraft. He kind of jumped like that, and kind of made me jump too. That you got witchcraft. So now he's using that egg to remove the witchcraft from me. And this is something I've learned. There's different ways to get a cleansing, different techniques. The very first limpia I had done was with a branch, and they use the branch. They spit rum on you. They use the branch. But I've had several limpias done with the egg, with the huevos, and then of course the one with the rooster. But he basically said that, yeah, you do have witchcraft. I'm gonna get rid of it. I mean, but like you said, just a normal Joe guy. I mean, he just talked to me. You know, he wasn't freaking out or making faces or chanting or nothing like that stuff. He said, okay, come here, get your limpia, you know, and I paid him, and then I went on my way. But he was pretty cool, really, when you think about it. And he has another back room in the back that he took me to, and it's his Santa Muerte. Actually, it's a separate building, so we left that building, walked to another building, and it's a big Santa Muerte altar. Now, he's a brujo. He was trained by his father, who was a brujo as well, who's no longer alive. But this is what the guy does. Now, what's interesting, I mentioned the egg limpia. The other time that I've had the egg used on me, they break the egg open and they evaluate what's showing in the egg to determine if I have witchcraft. For example, I did have one done actually in California, and the egg he used on me came out black. And then I've had another one done after that, and it came out clear, no black, no red. And what he was looking at, he said, you can see a lot of like pinpoints floating from the egg. And I asked him, what does that mean? He said, these are just different things that you have on your mind. You have a lot on your mind, and that's what that represents. But this guy, the guy in Catemaco, the brujo, his was different. And I asked him, because after he was done with the egg, he didn't break it open. He laid it on the ground next to some other eggs near the Santa Muerte shrine. And I explained to him, you know, I've had other limpias done. They break the egg open. I'm laughing about it now. And I said, how come you didn't break my egg open? And he said, oh, no, I'm not going to. You had a lot of dark shit in you. I'm not going to let that out in the world. Okay. Yeah.
So
what did he do with the egg? Did George find out what he did with the egg? Does he have for breakfast or something?
I don't know. I know I wouldn't eat it. Even if it was the egg used on me, I'm not going to be eating that shit, man.
Go ahead.
Robert, you described some of the limpias, but how many types are there? I mean, is there like a level of a limpia? And the second question is, why would a drug trafficker or anyone in the underworld get a limpia?
I'm going to go ahead and put a video on. This is very interesting. This is the guy from El Paso. Here we go.
Here in El Paso, Texas. We're going to be demonstrating a spiritual cleansing on our friend Roberto Almonte. Okay, we're just going to give you guys a brief description of the items that we're going to use when people come to us for spiritual needs. The type of people that come to us are, you know, regular people that are the drug trafficking. You know, drug trafficking. We got people that are students, state reps. We have people, doctors, lawyers. You know, anybody with any kind of issue. But today we're going to demonstrate a cleansing just to show you what it consists of and why people come here to receive the cleansing. And we'll go step by step showing you the items that will be used and what they represent. Okay? First of all, we'll be using holy water. The holy water is used to bless the person and make sure that the person has the blessing of God as Christians that we are. Also today, we will use herbs. These herbs consist of laurel. And the reason that we use herbs is because all herbs and plants have spirits. And we want to make sure that whatever we pick up from Robert Almonte, that all that bad energy, the spirit of the herb will take it into its leaves and break that bad energy. Also, we will be using this water. This water was prepared with agua florida, which consists of a perfume made of a lot of flowers in order to bring the good essence and the good spirits to the body. And also we will be using the rum. The rum is a chaser to chase any bad entities that are around the person. And I'll demonstrate how we're going to use it in a bit. Also, we'll use a little bit of eucalyptus. The eucalyptus will be placed on the nose in order so he can cleanse his spirit. And when we do the cleansing, you'll all see how it comes into being. Thank you. Like that. If you stand like that. Okay. En nombre del Padre, en nombre del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo, yo te conjuro y yo te bendigo con esta agua de las 7 iglesias para que el Espíritu Santo alumbre tu camino, criatura, te espante la mala sombra que te ande siguiendo y que el faro de la fortuna te dé un buen mensaje de buena suerte. Santísimo justo juez, Hijo de Santa María, que el cuerpo de Roberto Almonte no se asombre ni su sangre sea vertida. Relax, breathe in, take it all into your spirit, take it all in, breathe, breathe out. Relax, Padre, Hijo, Espíritu Santo, que estás en el cielo, invocando la superinfluencia del Padre Eterno, el Espíritu Santo, para que alumbren tu camino, criatura, te espanten la mala sombra que te ande siguiendo y que el faro de la fortuna te dé un buen mensaje de buena suerte. Señor Jesucristo, así como venir al mundo no santificarte, te pido que santifiques el cuerpo y alma de esta criatura y lo libres de todo el mal. Líbrelo de Q, líbrelo de Anu, Niña, Titiboti, Atiacheru, Bolelu, líbrelo de toda enfermedad y todo lo malo. Santa Casa Blanca de Jerusalén, donde Jesucristo entró, donde Jesucristo entró en church, keep on turning. El mal al punto estoy hablando de ese día. Sarayeye bakulo, sarayeye bakulo, sarayeye bakulo, sarayeye bakulo, sarayeye bakulo, sarayeye bakulo.
Wow.
Robert, that's really confusing. I mean, he's got Catholic saints and
Yeah.
pictures that, man, my grandma had that in her house. You know?
Yeah.
It's just very confusing.
It's something else. And to get to Benny's questions about why the cartel members and gang members they do this, have Olympia, is really they believe that it wards off the police, it wards off their enemies, other rival cartels, informants, prosecutors, judges, probation officers. They really believe in this stuff. The thing I want to clarify, I want to make it perfectly clear, is that in no way am I saying that all curanderos are criminals, because most of them are not. A true curandero really wants to help somebody. A true curandero deals with spiritual issues or minor physical ailments. Somebody's having minor physical ailments, they'll give them a cleansing. But if that doesn't help, they'll tell them, go to the doctor right now. You need to go to the doctor. You have some that are ripping people off, believing that they're doing Olympia or helping them, and they take their money. There's a lot of scammers out there. But I've been fortunate. The ones you saw in the video, I believe them to be good people. Now, the training I do, I talk about this, and I've had officers that have used this information, this training, and they'll follow a known drug trafficker, gang member involved in drug trafficking to one of these locations, like a botanica. And the person's in there 30, 40 minutes, and I tell them that much time, they're in there probably getting Olympia. Sure enough, the guy comes out. The case I'm describing happened in Georgia within the last year. Then the guy came outside, gets in his car, takes off, stop him on a traffic violation. They found 5 pounds of meth. So this is a perfect example of what many of them do.
Hey, Robert, do you think that officer actually as probable cause put exactly what you described? Hey, listen, men that go into these botanicas, do you think he actually put that in his report? Because that's good PC, correct?
Well, I think it would add to the totality of circumstances.
Yes.
Would add to the totality of circumstances because number one, obviously, this officer knew this guy was a known drug trafficker.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he knew that. That's why he followed him, and he followed him to this location. And then the officer remembered my training, said, "Oh,
Yes.
guy's a drug trafficker, and he's here at one of these places, and maybe he's getting a cleansing," and he was right. And then when they did stop him, they found 5 pounds of meth, and the guy, the trafficker, actually had some little amuletos that were prepared by the curandero from that location to protect him. And obviously, it didn't work, thankfully.
Robert, before Benny asks the next question, what's the difference between a curandero? He actually heals or acts
Yeah,
like he heals the individual, but they don't put curses on cheating husbands. They don't put curses. They actually cure the curse, correct?
yes, they removed the hex or spell. But here's something more very interesting is what I'm seeing more and more of lately is one person being able to do both of those things. Remove hexes, cleansing, give cleansing, but also put hexes and curses on people. So I'm seeing that more and more now. Well, one person can do both of those things.
Interesting. Go ahead, Benny.
Robert, can you talk to us about Santa Muerte? You know, I read a lot about this stuff, you know, because I like you, I like to be informed. But there's books that say that there's 7 different Santa Muerte colors, and they all mean something different. Also, can you tell us? It's kind of a loaded question, you know. And I always wonder about the colors because it means different things for different people. So how real is this? And can you also tell us about the more popular icons used by brujos, curanderos, Palo Mayombre, and Santeria? And also, can you talk to us about the monos and the monitos? You know, the dolls that are used by the occult?
Yeah, well, there were a lot of different questions there, and I'm old and I'm forgetting them, Benny. What was the first one? Let me focus on the
The
first
first one, talk to us about Santa Muerte
Santa
and the
Muerte,
seven
yeah, Santa
and
Muerte.
the 7 colors.
Yeah, okay, the Santa Muerte. Well, let me tell you this right now. Just like I mentioned, St. Jude is the most popular legitimate Catholic saint being used by the cartels and the gang. Santa Muerte is the most popular icon being used by the gangs and the Mexican cartels. I believe she goes way back to the pre-Christian beliefs of the Aztec god of death, where the Aztecs would sacrifice people to the god of death for prosperity, things of that nature. Unfortunately, that's what we're seeing today with Santa Muerte, where some of these cartel members are sacrificing people to Santa Muerte in Mexico and in the United States for prosperity, for protection, for good luck from Santa Muerte. She concerned me the most simply because of the way she looks. She represents death. She is death. So we're seeing more cartel-related murders, not only in Mexico, in the United States, and many of them are involving Santa Muerte. Now, let's get to the colors. Yeah, I've seen that too. And I know there's instructors out there, many instructors that teach a class like mine or similar to mine, where they actually have a list with all the colors and they hand them out to the officers. I stay away from that. And let me tell you why I stay away from that. Because I go to Mexico several times, and I went to Tepito, Mexico, which is location for the very first public shrine for Santa Muerte. That was created by Doña Queta Romero. And I met her back in 2003 or 2004. But anyway, she got to know me fairly well now, knows who I am, doesn't know what I am, what I do, or why I'm doing it. I tell her that I'm writing a book. And I am writing a book, by the way. I'm a little over halfway done. I'm a slow writer. But anyway, I asked her about the color. And she felt comfortable enough with me to tell me this. Said, Robert, and I guess this is in Spanish, but basically she said, bottom line, Robert, the color is puro pedo, bullshit. It's a marketing strategy. She says, we sell all different kinds of colors. And she says, you can't, and she believes in Santa Muerte, so she's not scamming, but she says, you can't tell me that because you prayed to the wrong color Santa Muerte, oh, you used the wrong color, sorry, this is Santa Muerte talking. I'm not going to be able to help you because you used the wrong color. So that's what she's saying. The color don't mean anything. And I tell officers in my training, look, don't worry about the colors. Really don't worry about the color, because certain color. Oh, here's the other thing. I've seen different lists with different colors. So which one do you go by? You got to keep in mind that Santa Muerte didn't come from a central location like the Vatican. Like we have the gospel, the readings, they're all the same throughout the Catholic Church every Sunday, every day, all over the world. Not with Santa Muerte. And what I've seen with Santa Muerte, you got a lot of competition. Everybody that's running a Santa Muerte temple or shrine, they want to be known as the Santa Muerte shrine or temple in Mexico or in the United States. So which color do you go by? So I tell officers, look, don't waste your time trying to memorize colors, figure out what the color is. Because it may mean something to them that they didn't get off of a list or a book. So just keep an eye out for Santa Muerte. And the main reason I talk about Santa Muerte is to serve as a red flag, as something to enhance their safety, that they may possibly be dealing with criminal activity.
You know, Robert, I met a brujo. My cousin used to work at Donovan. He was a lieutenant down there, and he told me he had a brujo that wanted to talk. So I went out there to interview him, and we talked for quite a while. But then he gave me a list. He was telling me about all the different colors and what they meant. And I based that on my book, on my lingo book. I actually put all the different colors on based on what he was telling me.
Sure.
But you know, I mean, it's good to know that everybody has a different interpretation for as far as this.
Yeah.
Okay, what can you tell us about the monos and the monitos? Who actually does that? ¿Es el curandero o es el brujo?
Who actually does what, Benny?
Los monos, los monitos.
Oh, the monitos?
Yes.
You know, the monitos are done by curanderos, by brujos. They're used as an amulet. They can be used as, like what's on your screen right now, as voodoo dolls. So they'll put that together, and you know, people believe that stuff works. Now there's another little doll that's not in voodoo or anything like that. It's in Santeria, and that also represents El Egua. And so you'll see different dolls like that. But the voodoo doll, yeah, that's going to be witchcraft. Those are going to be your brujos, and again, it could be a curandero who's being part of a brujo at that time.
You know, Robert, I remember as growing up, there was a jar in our backyard my grandma found, and there was a monito in there, you know, a voodoo doll with pins and it hair on it. But there was also liquid inside the jar. Do you know what would the liquid mean? I mean, what would it be?
Probably urine.
What is it going to represent?
Probably urine. I hope you wash your hand, or hopefully you didn't touch it, but probably.
My grandma had all that. Right?
And actually, in all seriousness, I said urine because very often that liquid is going to be urine. Anytime you see urine is used to, and you'll see that in the Santeria religion or on hexes where the urine is used to pacify somebody, to control them, gain control of them. So yeah, you could encounter urine in any of these things.
Hey, Robert, Amos Otis just said Robert Almonte is the cleanest training officer I have ever met. Now you all know why. You've had all these limpias. That's why. That's a good one, Amos. All right, go ahead, Big Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah, we ain't eating huevos with Robert anytime soon. Robert, Santeria and Palo Mayombe practice in the United States and Mexico. How popular is it? I know you mentioned there was a court case.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I went to Mexico twice last year, March, which is when I went to Catemaco. Then in September, I went to Tepito. And in Tepito, I went to an area where I think in 2019, Mexican authority raided this like apartment complex, and they found some tunnel. And in the tunnel, they found a bunch of altars and shrines, and they actually found 32 real human skulls there. And I believe those the human skulls are used for Palo Mayombe, and that kind of stuff is happening here in the United States. I was in Orlando, Florida, a couple of years ago, researching a case where some guys drove 2 hours to a cemetery, dug up some graves, stole the remains, and then went to another location and set up their Santeria shrine and altar. So I met with a homicide investigator from both jurisdictions. Talking about Palo Mayombe, it works off of human remains. They believe that the bones contain spirits, and the spirits will help them do whatever they need to do in life. And that's happening. Unfortunately, we're starting to see that more and more here in the United States, where criminals are breaking into mausoleums or even digging up graves and stealing the bones. And I feel for the families of those people that are stealing the bone, because those bones are gone forever. And matter of fact, I think just yesterday I got a news bulletin, an alert on my phone that a mausoleum was broken into in somewhere in Denver, and the bones were stolen. And first thing I thought of, Palo Mayombe. So we're starting to see more and more of that happening in the United States, and that's something that I also tell law enforcement officers throughout the United States. You got to pay attention to reports of any type of burglaries in cemeteries where they're breaking into the mausoleum, they're digging up graves. I talk about those types of incidents. I'm telling you, it's really dark stuff involved in all this stuff, and police officers need to know about all of it.
Hey,
Go
so
ahead,
Robert,
Benny, with your next question.
Robert, this one's kind of different here. Well, number one, Chucky really interested me. I mean, what's the story with Chucky? What do you know about this?
Yeah, we got to tell you, I got a case from an officer, a gang officer, investigator in Oklahoma, and he sent me a picture because they had a gang drive-by shooting, and they were able to locate the home where the shooter lived, and they went in the home, and he said we recovered the weapon that was used in the shooting, in the drive-by shooting, and it was next to a Santa Muerte shrine. So he sent me the picture. Sure enough, it was the Santa Muerte shrine, but with that shrine was a Chucky doll. So I kind of laughed about it, and then I thought about it. I go, I wonder if there's anything to this. So I started researching, and I found out that there's actually a gang in Peru that call themselves the Brotherhood of Chuckies, and they pray to Chucky for protection. And I talk about that case, and I have pictures of that shrine that I show in my presentation. But now we're seeing it more and more here in the United States. I got gang members, cartel members are using Chucky for protection from police officers. Big and on the East Coast, we're seeing more and more of the Blood and the Crips gangs that are using Chucky, kind of like as their hero, their model. So you can't make this stuff up. So I never thought I'd be training officers telling them to keep an eye out for Chucky.
Hey, Robert, follow-up question on that question. Right now, Benny's going to talk about the exorcism. Before we go there, cultures, the Anglo-Saxons, the white, the blacks, the Mexicans, the Asian Pacific Islanders, do they have also, like the Mexicans do, La Santa Muerte? Do they have something that they pray to that's equivalent to the Santa Muerte?
Well, what I found out, learned a long time ago, that every culture has something different. They're going to have something that they believe protects them. Now, you got to keep in mind that a lot of good people, or people not involved in criminal activity, also go to curandero to have a spiritual cleansing or some type of a cleansing. So they go to them. But it's just something that you just never know what's going to happen with that.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Benny.
So Robert, let's talk about this touchy subject, exorcisms. Are they real? Is the Catholic religion involved in these exorcisms? And what's the structure of an exorcism team? I just recently learned some of this stuff and found out that it was real, and it kind of shocked me because I thought it was all BS.
No, it's real. It's very, very real, and I got to tell you, it's very much needed also. And I got to tell you, with everything going on, not just in the United States, but throughout the world, everything that's going on in Israel, the Hamas and all that, I really believe the entire world needs an exorcism. Exorcisms are real. I know some exorcists. Actually, I met one that attended a class I did in Northern California a few years ago. Yeah. And he sat in the class and he told me they're just so extremely, extremely busy. And he's the one that actually, I mentioned that before I go to Mexico, I'd get a blessing from a priest. After the class, he came up to me and said, Robert, do you get a blessing when you come back? I said, no, Father, I don't. He said, well, that's real important because you're going to these real dark places. And these demons there, they know that you're there to expose them. And they're angry about that. And they may try to attach themselves to you, to hurt you. So this exorcist there in the class, he said, I'm going to give you a blessing right here, right now. And so that's the first time I've ever had a blessing by an exorcist. And I know other exorcists as well. It's out there. And exorcisms are handled differently by different dioceses throughout the United States. But I can tell you they are real. There's no doubt about it. And an exorcist is called in when they believe somebody is possessed by any kind of a demon. And the exorcist is brought in to call out that demon and remove them. And the exorcisms, I've never seen one. I probably never will see one unless I'm the subject of the exorcism, God forbid. but yeah, they use a lot of prayer. It's a lot of prayer, calling the devil out, because the demon, the devil, Satan hates prayer. Hates prayer. Prayer is powerful. It's very powerful, and the devil hates it. So I encourage more people to pray. Pray hard. Pray every day.
Amen.
You know, Robert, when I did this research about a year ago, and it said that there was 3 teams of exorcism in worldwide from the Vatican, 3 teams, and it involved 3 people per team, which was the priest, a security guy, and a psychologist. That's what I understood. That
Yeah. Actually, and that varies. That's the basic team, but again, it varies depending on, because you have exorcists here in the United States. You have the one I met in California. They perform exorcisms here in the United States. I know some in San Antonio that perform exorcism. So they're all over the place, and I think we're seeing more exorcists because we need more.
yeah. Wow.
Hey, Robert, I know that you've been to Mexico, you've been to Tepito, and can you tell us about the experience of going to the Mercado where the Santa Muerte and everything is? But before you answer that, I'm going to show a quick video that you sent us, and here we go. It's in Tepito.
Bastante.
Avanzando, no se detengan. Avancen, avancen. Sigan avanzando, no se detengan. Por seguridad ustedes no pueden tocar el vidrio, mi hermanito. Por seguridad ustedes no pueden tocar el vidrio, mi hermanito.
Was that you video recording that?
Yeah,
Robert?
that was me. I recorded that. Yeah.
Share with us the experience.
Yeah,
What was
well, I
going
got to
on?
tell you, I've been there in that procession or that event in Tepito. I want to say maybe 5 times, maybe 6 times. The very first time was where it really hit me. I believe it was 2004. I went there for the very first time, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Everybody walking around with statues of Santa Muerte, and they're blowing smoke on each other's statues, including marijuana smoke. They're chanting and cheering for Santa Muerte like they're at a football game. And then what really struck me is they began praying the rosary to Santa Muerte, and I just was like, oh my God, that is just incredible. I mean, we prayed the rosary to the Virgin Mary, and on that note, I'm seeing more and more in Mexico and the United States that people are getting Santa Muerte to take the place of the Virgin Mary, which is sad. So I got to tell you, that night I didn't sleep at all. I mean, I did not sleep at all. And I guess the more I go, the more comfortable, I hate to say the word more comfortable I feel. Still don't feel comfortable. But now, like this last time, it didn't come out in this particular video that I sent you. But now, in addition to Santa Muerte, they had a lot of statues of Satan there as well, the devil. So a lot of people are praying to the devil now for a variety of things.
Hey, Roberts, what's the difference? I mean, we have El Dia de los Muertos coming up. What's the difference of celebrating Dia de los Muertos and also Is Santa Muerte involved in that? How different is it? Dia de los Muertos and the Santa Muerte.
Yeah,
Celebrating them.
well, okay. The short answer is Santa Muerte is not involved in that, should not be involved in that. So you have Halloween on October 31st. November 1st is All Saints Day. November 2nd is All Souls Day, also known as Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. That goes way back to the Spaniards, brought that to Mexico, and you still see that. And that's basically where people set up altars and shrines at cemeteries and now in their homes. And what you're doing is you're setting it up in remembrance of a deceased loved one or in honor of them, and you're inviting their spirit to come and spend some time with you. Now, the people that are marketing, going back to marketing Santa Muerte, they are tying Day of the Dead into Santa Muerte because she represents death, and that's
And they
not
dress
right.
like that, right? They dress like the Santa Muerte.
I'm sorry.
They're selling the attire for Santa Muerte.
Yeah.
They're selling, yes. So, yes.
Yeah. And I have to tell you that the Vatican has come out strong, the Catholic Church, against Santa Muerte, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically a cardinal in the Vatican basically said that when you're praying to Santa Muerte, it's putting you in connection with the enemy of Christ, Satan. And I couldn't agree with that more.
Roberto, we have a question from Matilde Sema. Welcome to the show, Matilde. She's a correctional officer in Nebraska, Nebraska Department of Corrections. This is a great question. Is there a safe way to deal with bagging and tagging evidence of a Santa Muerte altar? Could you pick up bad juju? Any suggestions on safely handling the altar items?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and a very good question. Whether you're in correction or you're working out in the streets and you go into a house and you see this stuff and you find drugs or any other kind of evidence there, you should seize it. That's my opinion. And I always tell officers that, because they ask me, well, should I seize it or not? And I say, look, if there's any doubt, I say seize it. And if you don't need it or your prosecutor doesn't need it, you just give it back. No big deal. You only have one shot at the crime scene. Getting back to this question, first of all, I tell officers, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. Okay? Do your job. Now, I also tell them, don't mock it. Don't make fun of it, especially in front of the person who belongs to it. There's no reason for that. Don't knock it down. Don't try to break it or anything like that. Just do your job. Use gloves. Use gloves. I would photograph everything first and then put it in an evidence bag and seize it that way. As far as any bad, what was that, juju coming to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. My answer is going to be no. You're doing your job. Now, I think that because you're not, going astray and making fun of it and mocking it and breaking it, you have nothing to worry about. You just got to do your job, and I know you're gonna be okay. And then, you have your face, and if you're like me, my face protects me, and it's the light in the darkness.
Robert, man, we've enjoyed your show. We're up to the last question, man. What a blessing. We finally got you on. We didn't have any problems with the internet. Everything came out fine. The prayers worked. With that said, Robert, I know you're retired now. Tell us about your business. I'm going to go ahead and put your business card up. If somebody wants to get a hold of you or wants you to do some training for a law enforcement agency, do you only train law enforcement, or do you also train other type of businesses?
Well, that's a good question, and I appreciate this very much. But most of my training is geared toward law enforcement, but I can also do private sector corporate training. And of course, I'll gear that presentation toward them. I won't show them a lot of things that only officers should be able to see. I'll leave out a lot of the really gory graphic stuff, but they'll still get the meat of the information. So anybody, whoever it is, interested in having me come out and speak, and I can do any amount of time. I can do it during a luncheon, a breakfast. I can do it an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours a day. I've done up to 2.5 days just on the Mexican cartel, their culture, things, and music. On that note, I'm going to give a plug for an international summit on Mexican cartels and gangs conference that we're having in San Antonio, Texas, November the 6th to the 10th. We have a good turnout. We have a lot of people that are signed up. We still do have a few seats remaining. We got some heavy hitters there. We got Jay Dobbins, who retired ATF, who's going to give a talk about the infiltrating the Hells Angels. He actually got the colors. We got Derek Malth from retired DEA. We got Alex Marente, the founder of Borderland Beat. I got a guy coming out of New York talk about Rikers Island as well. And then we have a GBI investigator with Georgia going to do a case study on a Mexican cartel beheading that happened just outside of Atlanta. So we got, and this was just confirmed a couple of days ago. We got Kiki Camarena's widow has confirmed she will be there, and she's going to also give a little talk there. So we're really excited about this conference. It's going to be the 3rd annual one. And again, any questions regarding that, reach out to me, and we'll help you get there.
Excellent, man. What a blessing to have you on board today. Sean, any last questions for Robert?
No, again, a great show, Robert. I appreciate everything that you presented. I think a lot of newer officers and older officers should be involved in and knowing what your topic is on this, because it's out there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing it as long as God wants me to.
Benny, any last questions or comments for Robert?
No, like I said, you never disappoint, Robert. You're a good man, man. You had Bugs all stressed out the other day out there. When we're up in Winter Haven, poor Bugs, man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you later on when I see you. But anyway, I encourage every cop that's listening to this show. You gotta go to one of Robert's seminars, conferences, and training. Dude, it's like nothing you've ever seen or heard. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that Robert shows in those classes. You got to go. You got to be there, man. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you very much for that. Enjoyed hanging out with all 3 of you guys and your audience. God bless you and your audience, and I'll be happy to come back again whenever you want me.
Thank you, Robert.
Sure.
Aquí en Tampa tienes tu casa. Cuando andes por acá, tienes tu casa acá. Humilde casa. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Man, guys, that's deep, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is deep, man. I mean, I worked in Mexico for 10 years, 5 for the PD and 5 as a private investigator. I never would have done the things that he does, that he did. I mean, going into Olympia. I mean, I've been in some pretty hairy situations, but never would I ever go to get Olympia in one of these places. But you know what? That man, he does it for a reason, to train our fellow officers. Wow, outstanding.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I thought it was, you know what, like Benny said, this isn't just a border state issue and Mexico and all that. I mean, it's all over the United States. I mean, he's talking about Georgia. He's talking about, Florida now and all this other stuff. I mean, it's everywhere. And officers should know about it, because remember when we were baby officers and stuff, we'd walk into a place and there's these statues over there. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at.
Yeah. Most definitely. Benny, can you tell us about our Tuesday's guest?
Sure. We have a deputy sheriff from San Diego. His name is David Buchanan. David did 33 years with our department, the San Diego Sheriff's Department. David did his patrol time in Santee at the Santee station in the early 90s. But Dave's really area of expertise is operations in the jail system. He's worked at 7 of our jails in San Diego. He's got excellent skills as far as communication, stress, self-discipline, problem solving. Not only that, Dave supervised some of San Diego's most dangerous and high-profile inmates, such as Sagan Penn, Joselito Cinco, Jonathan George, Cindo Mob, Hector and Ronnie Ayala, David Lucas, Henry Hubbard, and Craig Tyre, just to name a few. I mean, he's been there for a long. I mean, he was exposed to a lot of this high-profile and dangerous men.
Man, I'm looking forward. It's going to I have a lot of questions about especially David Lucas, Ronnie and Hector Ayala. I mean, there's so many questions. A serial killer, it's going to be outstanding. With that said, guys, Sean, last words.
My Chiefs are beating up on your Broncos, bro.
Okay, I'm all right with that.
No, again, watching, I got the TV on over here too, and I'm watching, and the Hamas leaders calling for a day of jihad tomorrow. So if you're out there working, watch your rear end and keep your head on a swivel. Like we said the other day, I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and where here in the States. And just be
Benny?
safe.
Amen. Benny?
I would just like those people that are our guys that put their lives on that thin blue line, and they're always at risk, especially now with all this crap going on. Just prepare for the fight of your life, man, because you never know what's going to happen. You don't know when shit's going to strike us. I mean, you got to be ready. You got to be you have to be willing to fight dirty. You got to get tough. You got to get mean, man. You got to train, know the job, and be proud of your job, man. Remember all those haters? They just wish they were us. Do not hesitate. Remember, hesitation kills. Remember the deadly errors of others. Don't miss the danger signs. Stay in the fight and survive, man. Today's podcast is a harsh reminder of the dangers of the job. So never give up. Stay in the fight, guys.
Amen. Beautiful words, Benny. With that said, live a purpose-driven life. Live every day like it's your last day on earth. And you don't need a badge. You don't need a uniform to continue saving lives. We're sheepdogs. With that said, we'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great weekend. God bless you.